Okay. Well, welcome everyone. This is week 7. So we are pretty much dead in the middle, right in the middle of this self-mastery program. And we have technically completed the first phase, which is the 5 pillars of self-care: your physical body, your mental body, your emotional body, spiritual body. And then we talked about relationships because relationships matter and they're part of our self-care. They're part of, people are the currency of life. We talked about that last week, A, B's, and C teams, and kind of what to do with that. And then moving forward, just so you know, we're going to move into the C.A.R.E system. So this is how you really the C is confidence, how you're going to create confidence in your life. The A is becoming aligned and moving from an aligned place in your life. Then we have resilience, which is how do you become emotionally resilient? I've been talking to you for weeks about feel your feelings and feel all the feels. And you're like, okay, Kate, and how do I not fall apart? Or how do I, you know, feel those feelings and then get myself back into a place where I can, you know, show up at work or in with my responsibilities and different things like that. And then the last one is the embodiment piece. And so that's the C.A.R.E system. We'll start that next week on week 8. But today we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to rework your blueprint, okay? Because it's time. You've gotten curveballs. You've had things come your way. Life is happening. It's starting to become spring outside. Yes, yes, yes. And so we're going to look at what's working, what's not working. We're going to tweak. We're going to refine. And the reason we're going to do this together is because my intention is to teach you how to do this. So literally in your life, every season, you can do this. You'll know how to do it. It's not complicated, but I want to walk you through it. And I want us to all do it together to make sure we get to do that. And then the other thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about some assessments and some different things that we'll be using next week in this process called Know Yourself. And the Know Yourself process is the thing that creates confidence so that you are very, very clear. You know yourself better than anyone else. You're not seeking outside validation, approval, suggestions for what should I do or what do you think? Because you know you so well that you can move from a very centered and aligned space. And this matters because when you signed up for this mastery program, I said you will leave feeling more confident than you have ever felt. And that is next week. And so the more you get to know everything about you, you can turn down the volume on the outside noise and you can turn up your intuition. And all of you have been leaning in to listening more to your intuition and being curious about what your intuition has to say. So how do you trust your intuition? Well, you know yourself so well that you can trust that. So this all comes together in a really, really beautiful way next week. So I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to get prepared for that. So that's where we're going today. So before we dive in, let's just take a minute to, if you have a pen or a pencil or anything like that, just put it down for a moment and let's just drop in. Let's just connect into our physical body, emotional body, mental body, spiritual bodies. Can even talk about those relationships. But I want you to just close your eyes when you feel comfortable and just go ahead and do me a favor. You can look at your body if that feels more comfortable or completely close your eyes. But the first thing I want you to do is just arrive here in this moment. Congratulate yourselves for showing up, for those of you who've shown up. And just take a big, deep breath in. And when you exhale, I want you to drop your shoulders away from your ears and just let everything go. Take another big inhale, expanding your ribs and your lungs. Make room, take up space, pump those lungs. And then when you exhale, I want you to squeeze everything out, even in your belly, in your ribs, all in your body. Just squeeze it all out. Let go of any old, stale, stagnant air from last night, the day before. We're just cleansing the body with your breath before we check in. So I want you to do 3 more of those big inhales, expanding the back body and the ribs and the lungs. Your belly gets bigger. And when you exhale, you're just squeezing all of it out. I want you to use your breath to really pump this energy and air through your body, this life force energy. Breathing big inhales, expanding your chest and lungs. You're opening up. You're present. Here I am today. And then you exhale, you squeeze and let go of anything that's not serving you, anything that you want to release, just let it go. And after you take those 3 deep breaths, just come back to a normal, regular breath. And just do a body scan. Just notice, how are you feeling physically today? Maybe there's some tightness. Maybe there's some soreness already today. Maybe your body's like, oh, girl, you got to move. But just notice. And on a scale of 0 to 10, if you're really feeling a lot of pain or discomfort, you would be at a 0. But if your body's feeling really good, you'd be closer to a 10, like really awesome. So just notice, where are you physically today, this morning, right now, not yesterday, not where you wish you were. Just a really honest inventory of where you are physically. Now I invite you to move your attention to your mind. Just notice what's happening in your mind. Maybe you have racing thoughts. It's really hard to pay attention. You're kind of thinking about either what happened this morning or where you need to be or what all you need to do this afternoon. That would be a 0. And if you're feeling like your thoughts are pretty chill and quiet, you'd be closer to a 10. So just notice what's going on in my mind. How easy or challenging is it for me to be present right now, here in the moment, focusing on my mind? Now I invite you to move to your heart space, your feelings, your emotions, your emotional body. You might connect into your heart. You might connect into the sensations or the feelings that you're feeling within your body. But just notice, how are you feeling emotionally? And remember here that a 0 is that you're not really feeling a lot at all, maybe disconnected from that emotional body. And a 10 would be that you're feeling a lot. You might even categorize that as overwhelm or anxiety. It could be a lot of joy or happiness or excitement. Whatever those emotions are, there's a lot of it. Feels abundant. And that would be a 10. So just notice, on a scale of 0 to 10, how are you feeling emotionally? And now become aware of your spiritual body. This is the subtle body. Very, very subtle. Sometimes you can connect with your spiritual body if you feel into your womb, your belly. Sometimes it's between your third eye, between your eyebrows. Could be a whole body sensation, but just notice your spiritual body. And really what that is it's your intuition, that gut feeling. And on a scale of 0 to 10, how loud or quiet is your intuition? A 0 would be that you're not really hearing it at all. You feel pretty disconnected. Maybe it's been a while and it's feeling extra, extra quiet. Or maybe you can hear your intuition pretty loudly. That would be a 10. Just notice, how connected or disconnected are you spiritually? And then next, we're going to focus on your social self-care, your relationships, starting with your relationship to yourself. And then that moves out to your A team. How connected or disconnected are you in your social circles and relationships? A 0 would be that you're pretty disconnected. Maybe you're a recluse. Maybe you are pulled back a little bit to move people, right, from that A team to that B team. And you're noticing like, wow, I'm feeling a little disconnected, or maybe there's some loneliness there. I'd be closer to a 0. Maybe you feel really connected and nourished because you've been pouring into your A team and they're giving back to you. And you're noticing that this is feeling really good. And so you'd be closer to a 10. So in your relationships, how connected or disconnected are you on a scale of 0 to 10? Now, before we close this, I want you to bring gratitude to yourself for showing up and being here. This is usually when people drop off and they don't show up as consistently. So for being here today and showing up, I say good job and give that back to yourself and receive that. It's really easy to show up in the beginning. And as time goes on, just like we set goals for the new year, things start to fade, the enthusiasm dwindles, the excitement isn't quite there. And this is the time that you really change habits, behaviors. You start to reprogram. And it's the most critical time to lean in. So thank yourself for showing up and leaning in. And when you're ready, you can blink open your eyes. And go ahead and write down those 5 for me. So physically, hopefully you've got these by now. At the end of it, you will, right? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and then last is your social. Hi, Zadra. So good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. All right, Miss Zadra, I see you. 46765. Who's next? There we go. Mary's got it. 63436. And Miss Annie. This is going to be a really great call for those of you that are on today, because we're going to get really personal. So this is your reward for showing up. We get to really dive into yours and not talk about theoretical or hypothetically, or like this is what most people do. We're going to get really specific for you. And Annie, if it's easier to not drop it in the chat and you just want to take yourself off of mute for a second, if you're having trouble loading it in the chat, just want to have those numbers so I can.
I am having trouble. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's hard to run the phone.
You're good. Give it to me.
46878.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So first things first, let's look at your high. Let's look at your win. We're going to take a little bit more time here, okay? Because we're talking about what's working, what's not working, what you might want to tweak. So yes, we're going to focus on today, but I want you to also look back at patterns, because we're going to do that as well. But let's start with today. Focus on your win. What's your win? And Mary and Annie have ties for the win. So I'm going to let you choose which of your high is a win. And if it's okay, Zadra, I'm going to start with you and talk to me about why your emotional is your high, is your win.
Because I'm allowing all the feelings, or I'm trying to, and whatever's going on energetically, I just feel very close to the surface. So I'm allowing that.
I honor you in allowing that. You're not alone. And I love that we come together in community and we come together in circle. Yesterday, we had our Turn On Tuesday, which my female only group. and we talked about pleasure. And it was a really powerful monthly session. And what I witnessed from all of the women in that circle and in that community, either on the call or private messages or communication after, is that there is a heightened sense of emotions right now. There's a lot going on, a lot. And you're not alone, Zadra. And this is a time that can be challenging because it's like, oh, I don't have time for this. This is inconvenient. It's not how I want to feel sometimes, or like, it's just like, what do I do with all of this? And sometimes when we allow ourselves to start feeling, it can feel like a fire hose or like the floodgates are open and it's like, whoo, okay. Wow, 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 wow. And so know that we're going to be talking about this emotional resilience coming up in week 9. And also right now, it is a potent time. Just as far as like astrological and what's happening with the stars and the moon, a full moon is going to be here. It's on the cusp, like it is happening. Women, we cycle with the moon. We are more emotional with a full moon. So it's happening, it's coming, it's coming. Plus, we're in Pisces season, which is the most emotional of all the signs right now in in this time in this season. Lots of emotion up, and on top of that, this is the year of 2025, which is the year of the snake, and it is all about transformation. It is all about shedding. It is all about letting go. There are things that we've had set for goals or ideas or desires that we've wanted for years, and this year is the year to complete that. And so because of that, you've got like not just one layer, but another layer and then another layer. So this is why I love to be aware of what's happening outside of me, coming from like a cosmic and energetic space, because then sometimes it just doesn't feel so personal. You know, it's not like, what is going on with me? What is wrong with me? Why? It's like, oh, well, there's this factor, there's also this, and there's also this. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to chill for the day. I'm just going to allow myself to feel. If I need to cry, I'm going to cry. If I need to scream, I'm going to scream. If I need to go for a walk or a run, I'm going to go for a walk or a run. But I'm just going to let myself move through this because I'm going to work with the energy instead of resist and go, why is this happening? Instead, it's like, oh, I'm going to work with this. I'm going to move with this. And this is the art of being a woman. So Zadra, I see you, I honor you. I appreciate you for calling that a win when it doesn't always feel like a win. And I suggest and just work with this moon, work with your body, keep checking in. What do I need? What do I need? What do I need? 3 times a day, literally, like now more than ever. Like, what do I need? Oh, a warm bath. Okay, great. What do I need? A heating pad. Okay, great. What do I need? Some water. Great. What do I need? A walk. Great. Just constantly checking in. What do I need? A hug. Oh, I do. Okay. Oh, I need a hug. Whatever it is, you're just like lots of check-ins, lots of check-ins. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Miss Mary, tell us, physical or relationship? Which one are you going to call your win today? Social or relation or physical? Oh man, I see you talking and I see you being unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can anyone else hear her? Me either. See? There's some things going on with technology. It started this way. Took me 3 minutes to get to you this morning. I was like, roll with it, Kate. Here we are. Okay, Mary, let's mute you. We'll see if we can unmute you. Try again. Unmute yourself. Can you see that? Can we hear you? Maybe the volume on your phone or your computer. This is so weird, right? Yes, we know. We're going to come back to you, Mary girl. Keep yourself unmuted though, so maybe if you're talking and we hear you, we'll be like, yes. Okay, Mary. Or okay, Annie. Your turn. Let's have Annie go, or Mary, Annie go. Oh man.
Okay, can you hear
Okay,
me?
good. Yes, I can hear you.
You know, social and emotional they're connected right now, and I think that's why they're
Mhm.
both the high. But my social, I feel like would be probably higher. Um, and it's interesting what I'm noticing that the emotional actually feels good. It feels feminine. Like my social cup is so full from all of this womb women work that I just did with all these beautiful women, and we're all still connecting and riding that high. And so the emotions that I have just feel good. It just feels like, that
Mm.
good to cry and good to feel and good to be alive because I have this support system, this social cup that is so full. And it's interesting to realize um, that the emotions are welcome, because I feel like I have that social support, that I'm not afraid, we're all feeling it together. And so that feels like a big win. Both of those feel like a great win. It doesn't feel like crappy emotions at all. It feels like, yeah, let's do it. Bring it on. I've got my team with me. I can handle anything with them backing me up.
Thank you. What a perfect follow-up to the conversation that I was just even having with Zadra. And this again, this is why we do this. This is why group is so important, and especially women in groups. I think men's groups are amazing too, and men need groups too. There's just something that feels really good about being in all of whatever it is, but knowing that there's a sisterhood, a community, a group of people who can come together to say, you're not alone. It might feel like a lot, but we're all feeling it. I got you. And someone to reach out to and make a phone call to or to check in on or whatever it might be. One thing that naturally happens, just to be aware, is when we start to feel big emotions, lots of times we withdraw. We hibernate, we pull in, we get quiet. It's like, oh, I'm just working through something. I'll come back after I move through this. Or um I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to get this on anybody else. I don't want to but the truth is, and what I'm hearing here again in validation is we're all going through it. We're all going through it. And so how much easier is it when we come together and we do it together and it's like, okay, I can be held in this. It doesn't feel so overwhelming and it doesn't feel so heavy. So thank you, Annie, for sharing that. That was perfect. Mary, you want to give it a try again? See if you can unmute.
Okay, can you hear me? Yay. Okay, I took out my earphones. I think that might have been it. So my win is my social, which I'm recognizing as a win, even though it's lower than normal. Like normally it's much higher than that, but um I mean, to me, I just daily I'm in contact with a lot of people, forming relationships. So that's a high for me.
It's working, right?
Hmm.
When you can see, and we're going to talk about this in just a second. Well, actually, everyone, I want you to go back and let's dive in for a minute. So those of you who are live and those of you who are catching this recording, this is what I want you to do. You should have this in your notebook or you should have this somewhere, your weekly check-ins. So what you could do is you could just line them up. You could just have the five numbers written and then written and then written and then written, and you could go through and circle all the wins and underline the lows. I'm going to give you some time to do that. I've been asking you to keep track each week and writing this down. So the reason for this is information is power. And watching and seeing different patterns, looking and seeing different, it's going to be fascinating for you to look 4 weeks ago. What was happening 4 weeks ago, exactly a month ago? Maybe it was around the moon again. What was going on with your emotions? What was happening? So we want to look for patterns. That's why we're doing this. We want to look and see, what's kind of consistently showing up. Maybe you're like, I'm actually all over the place. There's not really a lot of consistency of one thing or the other. But if you can see any patterns or if you can see anything that's kind of showing up consistently, this is a great time to do that. So just write those out, right? Just like write those out and kind of pay attention and look and see what are your wins and then what are your lows. And we're going to focus on what's working and then maybe what's not working. And the reason we're going to do this is it's going to help us adjust and rework your blueprint. Because if you're consistently showing a low in something, it means that whatever your daily practice is in that pillar is not quite getting you to where we want you to be. So think about it like this. If you were to go to the doctor and get your hormones checked, and your hormone doctor came back and said, okay, here's all the things I want you to take for your hormones, and come back in 6 weeks and we're going to recheck your hormones. We're going to see what's working. We're going to see what's not. That's what we're doing here. So if you don't have all of them and you can't find all of it, just get what you have and see if you can notice what some of these are. Robbie's waiting to get in. He's right on time. Rob, you're right on time. Good to see you. Sorry I had you in that waiting room for a little bit. I didn't look down and realize, but you're right on time. So what we're doing, Rob, in your notebook, I want you to go back and I want you to look at your check-ins. So we do these check-ins every week and you write down whatever your numbers are. So if you can write those down in a line and line them up, what we're looking for is consistently what are your wins and consistently what are your lows. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for, maybe it's every fourth week, you're like, wow, interesting. Every fourth week, this specific thing is low. Okay. What's going on in my energy? What's going on? Is that the beginning of the month? Is that the end of the month? Is that right? So we're just looking for some patterns. So we're going to take a little bit more time here because this is really important. This is where you come back. I use the analogy, Rob, of like if you were to go get your hormones checked and the doctor gave you whatever and said, come back in 6 weeks and we'll talk about what's working and what's not working. So as we're looking at our blueprint, as we're reworking your self-mastery and your self-care blueprint, we want to know what's working, what's not working. And this part about circling back is really important. And while you're doing this, I want you to think about and just be aware that when you circle back, you follow through, you come back to things. This is a huge part of changing habit and behavior. Because oftentimes we start and then we just fall off the wagon or we quit or it just fades. But when you come back to this and you look at it and you say, okay, I'm not going to quit, I'm going to recommit. One of my favorite quotes is don't quit, recommit. So we are on the 7th week this week. So you should have a week 2, a week 3, a week 4, a week 5, and a week 6, Rob. So just take whatever you can find. That's kind of where we are right now. If you haven't been consistently writing them down, it's okay. It's fine. What we'll do is we'll recommit to be more consistent so that we can watch and see what happens from now until, and what happens the next 6 weeks. Yeah, we have 6 more weeks, so we're halfway through. So we'll come back and we're going to do this again, but this is your first opportunity. So if you have it written down 3 times, or if you have it written down 4 times, just see what you have written down and notice those wins, notice the lows, the highs, the lows, and just take a couple more minutes here. Rob, you might only have it 4 times, maybe 4 or 5 times written down. And then, well, and maybe less because you won't have today's, right? But you're welcome to just pause and go through and do a scan of your physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social bodies, Rob, to see where you are right now. And then you'll have another set of check-in numbers that you can work. We're going to take about 2 minutes, okay? And actually, I heard that Zoom has a timer, so I'm going to see if I can find it while. Oh, great. If you have 6, perfect. You got it. You're on it. So yeah, just look at what's consistently your high, Rob, and what's consistently your low. So that's what you're looking at. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, socially. What tends to be consistently the highs, the wins, and what tends to be the lows? That's what we're looking for here. What are your wins? What are your lows? And if you get clarity on that before the couple of minutes are up, that's great. Just ask to, or just unmute yourself and we can start talking about it.
I'm ready, Kate.
Okay, let's hear it. Tell me your wins. Most consistently, Rob, where are you winning?
On the physical and social.
Okay, awesome. So what I would say to you is keep doing what you're doing. It's working, right? Go ahead.
I also have, I actually have my highest numbers in emotional, but I really do rake my scale is kind of opposite of your scale.
So why is that?
Who's got time to feel all these feelings?
Say that again.
Who's got time to feel all these feelings?
People that want to heal themselves?
Bah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. The body keeps the score. The body keeps the score. If we don't allow ourselves to feel it, it will store itself in our body and it will eventually manifest itself as dis-ease in your body. So if you don't have time for it today, you'll make time for it when you are not well. Or not. Or not. So that's why I rate it the way that I rate it. Just a little bit of information. I have a background in personal training. I ran a fitness club for 2 years and I went to college. I studied nutrition. I was an assistant dietitian and I am very versed in the physical body, which is where I started. And then I moved to the mental body because what we think we become and what we focus on grows. And after that, I dug into the emotions and it was the hardest one, Rob, I ever did by far. Feeling my
Well,
feelings. Yeah.
in that case, then I'm killing it in the emotional category.
Yes, 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 yes. Rob, yes. I know it's uncomfortable. You missed the first part of the call, which is why everyone's beaming right now. Because guess what? Turns out everyone's killing in the emotions and feeling really uncomfortable doing it. Yeah. Listen, we're all in this together. It's hard. It's freaking hard. It's why most people don't do it. This is called a mastery class for a reason. Let me repeat that. This is a mastery class for a reason. It's not easy. It's not easy to feel all the feelings when you got to run a business, when you got to show up and parent, when you've got to be in a relationship that you don't want to get your stuff all over them. It's hard. It's challenging. It's hard to not take things personally. This is a challenge. It is the most challenging, I believe, of all the pillars because feeling the emotions is uncomfortable. So what do? We stuff it. I'm not going to feel that right now. I don't have time for that. It's inconvenient. I'll come back later. But your body will eventually bring whatever that is to the surface. If you are overweight, if you're having a hard time losing weight, I'm telling you right now, it's emotional. If you're, Kate, I'm eating good, I'm exercising, I'm doing all the things, but I just can't. It's emotional. If you're tight in your shoulders consistently, if your neck and shoulders are tight consistently, you are holding on to tension and stress. Those are emotions. So your body is responding to the emotions, whether you're allowing your heart to feel it or not. And I think that's a good quote. Your body is responding to the emotions, whether you are allowing your heart to feel it or not. So I honor you for feeling it. And I honor you for saying that emotions is high. And I hate this, Kate. I actually don't agree. I want it to be lower. And that feels like a win. I hear you. And you're doing the work. You're showing up. It's not easy. It would be a lot easier to avoid, right? Or to distract yourself with a substance, which is why most of us use substances when the feelings are too big. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I want to change it. I'm going to eat something because that's going to make me feel better for a minute. But then what happens, right? So we get ourselves, when it comes to addiction, the reason we get into addictive, self-sabotaging cycles and habits and behaviors is because we are avoiding emotions. We are avoiding feeling. So by you doing the work to say, I'm willing to feel the feelings, congratulations. You are in a mastery program and you are mastering this. Way to go. Rob, I appreciate you so much stepping up, letting me talk through that. If you were to go back and listen to the first part of this recording, you will see why you are right on time and you are absolutely aligned. This is the conversation we've been having. So good job. Awesome. Keep doing it. Who else wants to share one of your, what are the numbers, what are the pillars that consistently show up as being a high? Anybody else by show of hands feeling the emotional part is part of yours that you're seeing consistently as high? Zadra, I knew it. Annie, I knew it. Yeah.
I'll
Right.
share.
Yeah, please do.
My emotional and spiritual are typically my wins. And then my physical and mental are my typical lows.
Okay, so this is what I would advise you to do. Annie, keep doing what you're doing on the wins. On your lows, pull out your mastery blueprint. And we can do it even right now, but I want you to look at that blueprint and I want you to ask yourself, what could you do? What do you need to do to tweak it? And I don't want to do this too much with you. I want you to use your intuition here because this is the part of the program where we move from that masculine structure into this feminine intuition and like the inner knowings, the inner parts of you, right? So listening to yourself, Annie, and asking yourself, how can I tweak this where it's low to have it be more, to have there be more wins? And tell me again what your lows were, Annie.
Physical and mental.
Okay, interesting. So just to connect with you on this, during the winter, mine are always lower in physical, mental, always, always. So what I found for me, you can take this or toss it. What I found for me is I move my body less in the winter because I don't go outside and walk. It's too cold. But now that spring is here, I've been outside and walked 3 days already this week. Because it's nice, because I want to go outside and walk, because I can do that. I can move my body. And I'm so sore today. I can't even tell you because I've just been getting out more and doing stuff. And I'm like, wow, my physical body has been just like neglected in a lot of ways with it when it comes to like strength. And so what could you do? Right? Like
I need to move more. Yeah,
exactly.
definitely.
It's not
Yeah.
rocket science. It's just the awareness. That's why we're looking at it. It's not even like, oh my gosh, I should have whatever. Nope. It's like, you know what? I just kind of do that in winter. It is what it is. But my intuition's really strong in the winter because I'm slower, I'm quieter, I'm more introspective. You see how this works? So again, no right or wrong. There's always going to be a high, there's always going to be a low. Always. Always. It's just like, which one is it? And like, what could I do to tweak and refine in that area? So Annie, another thing mentally, ask yourself, am I trying to quiet my mind or am I trying to fill it with things that are more inspiring? And ask that question first. And then based off your answer of, well, I really just need to quiet and still the mind because there's a lot of racing thoughts. Great. Hum, Annie, hum.
Mm.
You and I talked about this yesterday. Hum. Okay? Yeah. All right, who's next?
I'll share. I didn't really notice trends as far as like every week it's mostly physical or every week it's mostly emotional or whatever. But what I did see is that my physical is usually low when I haven't had good sleep and I'm not letting myself get good sleep consistently. In fact, more often than not, I'm having interrupted sleep, so like 4 hours and then activity and then a nap in the middle of the day. And what that's doing is it's then my energy is low and my ability to mentally focus is low. So what I've intuited is I need to set myself up for rest so that my mental can be higher, right? Which is, of course, we know this, but like I'm seeing it in the numbers. And then the second thing that I noticed is that my emotions, they're not consistent up and down, but they do fluctuate. Like they are higher when there's a full moon, or they do respond more to like the weather. And but what I realized is it's mostly the sad emotions or the angsty emotions or you know, the energies we don't prefer to feel. And my question to myself is, but where's the joy? Because when I say I'm high in the emotions, I'm not always, mostly not feeling high happy. It's high, sad. And what I've recognized there is it's when my relationships are low that my emotions are high for this particular feeling, not all emotions,
Yes,
but
I hear you.
right. And so then when I went to look at the relationships, when the weather is up, when the full moon is up, when the emotions are up, then I do what you just said and I hermit and I don't reach out and I'm not connected. So now I'm not sure if it's cause or effect. Is it because my emotions are high and so then I back off and my relationships are low? Or is it because my relationships, I'm not connected and so then now my emotion, I'm not sure which is which, but those are the trends that I noticed.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, it's like the chicken or the egg, right? And you can spend the time trying to figure out what's cause and what's effect, or just say, hey, there's a correlation here. And so at this time of the month, around the moon, around the full moon, I'm going to make sure that I join a Zoom moon ritual, or I'm going to engage with a friend who speaks my same language about the moon, or I'm going to, right? So you want to make it feel like it's aligned for you. Like you don't want to force yourself to go do a thing if like, well, I'm feeling a lot of emotion and that's okay. I actually am practicing feeling but maybe I don't want to do it alone. So let me bring in someone who's also doing this, or women who are also doing this with me in this community. I so wish you were on yesterday's call because we talked about joy and pleasure, and we made a pleasure list and a joy list, and we talked about what things cost money and what things don't, and how important it is to know those things so that you can literally, your pleasure will empower you, and how important it is to like lean into that pleasure more often. And so I just recommend, yes, find your joy and make a list of things that cost money and things that don't cost money and what brings you joy, and do one of those every single day. Every day. Find joy every day. Make it a priority. Make pleasure your priority. And look at those correlations, right? Like this is why we did this. We're going to do it again, and we're going to do it again, right? We've got 6 more weeks. We're going to do it again. And you're really going to start to notice, right? And again, the point is not to try to like, again, you're always going to have a high, you're always going to have a low, but we're looking at like, okay, what are my cycles? What happens with my body? What happens, does the weather affect it? Does the time of the month affect it? Does what's happening in my relationships affect it? Does, right, like all of the things. So it's all information. It's all information. What we get to be really mindful of, I want to remind all of you of this: stay out of judgment. Stay out of judgment. The judgment will put you in a shame and guilt cycle of, well, I should be doing it this. this is how it always is, or no, that is not helpful. That is the most self-sabotaging behavior you can get into. Do not self-sabotage. They're just numbers. It's just information. What are you going to do with it moving forward? Don't go back. Okay. Awesome. All right, Miss Mary, you ready?
Yeah, so consistently, like my spiritual and emotional are low. And the emotional one kind of like surprises me. I don't think I realized it until I looked at all these numbers and kind of saw that. I mean, I do know that when I feel emotions, I feel them so strongly, like they like overcome me. And so I think I do a lot of like suppressing it or using food to, cope with those emotions. And so just seeing that and recognizing that those emotions, like I'm not feeling them, I'm trying to avoid them because I feel like when I do feel them, it's too overwhelming. So I think what happens is I stuff, and then all of a sudden they all come out. And so I want to figure out how to regulate that better and feel them.
Yes. Well, thanks for the vulnerability, Mary, because you're saying what all of us experience. And anyone who's pretending like they're not is either mastered it in some way or they're just in denial. Because the truth is, and I love how bold Rob came in with this, because like here we are, right? The opening and the closing of today's call and the middle and all of it is about like all these big feelings, and like we want to avoid them. It's too much, it's inconvenient, I don't have time right now. But here's the thing, eventually they will bubble to the surface and you're going to end up being pissed and mad or raging or hysterical or whatever it is. So, and when you're tempering emotions throughout the day, you can stay at a pretty reasonable place with them, manageable place with them. But if you stuff, when they finally come out, it's going to be intense. This is why men can feel anger. How has our society set men up? You don't feel, be tough, um, you know, all the things, right? Think about a little boy or a boy playing a soccer game, right? And he falls and it hurts, right? And he's like crying and it's like, toughen up, get up, boys don't cry, all the things. So then what happens? When do they finally feel emotions? When they are pissed off and raging and angry, right? And that's how we expect men to be, screaming and just saying things and being ways. Because why? Because they've been told they can't feel. So then they finally feel and they're exploding. Women, on the other hand, too emotional, so dramatic. Oh my gosh, she's crying all the time. She's so emotional. She's crazy. So there's these extremes that we've been modeled in our society that are not working. They are not working. So on week 9, in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about emotional resilience. We're going to dive into this more. This is the only pillar in self-mastery that has 2 weeks assigned to it. 2. So when I say it's a big deal, it's a big deal. And when you say it's uncomfortable and you don't want to and you don't have time and you want to avoid the emotions, I get it. I get it. My mom was so emotional. She was in the bed for 2 years. She didn't get out of the bed. My younger sister, Emma, by age 6, was double the weight a 6-year-old should be. And there were ice cream cartons on the side of the bed. There was no food in the house. I was not fed. That was my upbringing. And I decided I will never fall in love and feel the way my mom did about my stepdad, because I never want my heart broken like that again. Because a broken heart equals this. And I armored up and I shielded up and I turned into this masculine version of Kate that could get shit done. And I was a super achiever, type A personality. That was me. 10 years ago, finally at 37 years old, I decided this is not working for me. I'm in a loveless marriage. I'm in an abusive relationship. I'm using food to cope, and I've got to change something. So I want you to know I get it. I feel you. I so get it. it is a process to feel the emotions, and you have to have so much compassion for yourself, because sometimes it is messy and sometimes it does come out and it's like, right? But it is. And then think about it. You have a good cry and you feel so much better. Or for men, usually it's like they yell and scream and then they feel so much better. It's because the pressure cooker is just getting more tense, more tense, more tense when it comes off. So we're going to learn how to navigate the emotions in a way that that doesn't happen. So Mary, I appreciate your vulnerability. I so appreciate it. And what I would advise you to do in this moment is look at the numbers that are low, spirituality. How can you spend more time checking in with yourself? Right? Could be the advice that I gave before with Annie. You know, what do you need, sweetheart? Ask, or Zadra, asking consistently throughout the day. What do you need, sweetheart? What do you need, sweetheart? Annie or Mary, I love using my intuition in parenting. I really love it. It's like, you know, before you walk into your house after you've been working, you know, just like, okay, so help me be a really good listener to know what my kids need from me today, tonight, and listen with your intuition, right? So it could be along just with kids, like help me know what my kids need, right? Tuning in to their energy, to their emotion, to like what they're saying but not saying. And maybe start there. That might feel a little bit easier to you. As a mom, I just feel like kids are like my easiest way to access my intuition. So, and we can chat more about that. Okay, so before we go, next week is a big week, okay? There are 4 assessments that I want you to focus on. If you have not taken these assessments, it's a great time to do it because I can help you learn and know about them. But I'm going to go through them really quickly because I've got like a minute, okay? So the tools we're going to use next week for confidence building, okay? Knowing yourself, knowing you better than anyone else. This is going to help you push the easy button in life. You're not going to have to work so damn hard. You're going to push an easy button and you're going to feel confident and you're going to move through life in a completely different way. The tools that we use are human design. It's all about knowing your energy. Human design is a self-exploration system that draws on many different esoteric traditions like the Chinese I Ching, the Kabbalah tree of life, Hindu chakra systems, astrology, quantum physics. Your human design chart and body graph is a blueprint of who you are and how your energetic aura works. Why does this matter? If you're in business, if you're doing business and you're a manifesting generator like me, it can sometimes feel hard to stay focused. Knowing that matters. This is where we bring values in. This is how we create and make decisions, okay? If you're a generator, that means you're the one creating all the energy for everyone else. You've got to know how to recharge your battery, right? So this energy thing matters. The next one is the Enneagram. Enneagram is what motivates you. The Enneagram is a system of personality typing that describes patterns in how people interpret the world and manage their emotions, ding, 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 based off your motivations from early childhood wounding. This one is a little tender, but here's the thing. When you know your Enneagram, then you learn your self-sabotaging behaviors. Why do you need to know your self-sabotaging behaviors? Because then you can see when you're in your shadow. We're all shadow and light. It exists whether you want to learn about it or not. It is there. So that's the Enneagram. The next one is the Clifton Strengths. I am a certified Clifton Strength coach. I use this assessment with clients often. It is, Don Clifton was a psychiatrist in the 1960s. He said, what if instead of studying what's wrong with people, we studied what's right with people? Strengths science answers questions about what's right with people rather than what's wrong with them. The goal of the assessment is to help individuals identify and build their greatest strengths. This is how you push the easy button in life. It's very, very, very powerful for business. The last one is predictable success. And this is more of a business one and management and leadership. But if you're leading anyone or if you're managing anyone, this tool is incredible. And I love this one as well. It's optional. If you're like, yeah, I don't really do business with people, I don't really need to know this one, don't. But if you do, if you're in any kind of business, this is really effective. It helps you build your team and know what support you need. And you can hire people not just because you like them, but because they do the thing that you suck at. Okay. So I'm going to send you Enneagram and Predictable Success. They're free assessments. I'm going to send you the link. If you send me, I'm going to ask you some questions. If you want to know your human design and you do not, let me know. You can raise your hand right now if you don't know your human design and you want to know. Okay. And I will send you what your human design is, or the information I need from you. The last one is the Clifton Strength. It is a paid test. You can get the top 5 or all 34. If you decide to do that, I will spend some extra time with you going through your assessment as like a bonus offer from me, because I geek out on it and it's really fascinating to use in business. So thank you all. I wanted to get through that really, really fast. I've gone 2 minutes over. I appreciate you. I will send the assessment links, and good job. Have a good day.